Greetings,
There you
everyone.
are.
It is.
Here he is.
I'm
Hey,
here.
brother.
Sorry for the 5-minute delay. I had an appointment to do a cryo session. I do it bi-weekly now, where you go into this freezing room, and it's supposed to be like anti-inflammatory and among other things. And then I also do light therapy. So I had a couple of people ahead of me. So normally I'm out by 3:50, but I guess, well, my time now is 4, but I wasn't able to finish till 4 o'clock on the dot. So I'm like rushing back home to get here. Here I am.
All in flow. Don't worry.
It's good. And what I love about that too, like getting you fresh, it's like, it's been about a year since last time, and you'd been like on the tour. Congratulations on the book, by the way. We just jumped on Amazon before, see you're over 1,000 reviews. And
really, I didn't even know. I get so busy, I forget to check the numbers or the comments.
I'm a numbers man. We used to sell on Amazon, so I know reviews are important because it pushes you up the list. So just to let you know, you went over 1,000 reviews. So congratulations on that.
Yeah, woohoo. Well done. Bringing it through for humanity.
So, and last time we had you on, I could tell you'd been doing so many Zooms, and you were tired, you told us. So now we've got you fresh out of the cryogenic chamber and you're sparky today. And that's good, because it leads me on to what I wanted to talk about way down the list today, but let's do it first. There's so much information now, it's the age of the internet. We can get all of this great information about our galactic origins, about the journey of our soul, about how this ties in with the collective consciousness, the fields, etc. But so often people get caught in information gathering, like they want to read another book or do another course or something like that, instead of implementing it in their day-to-day life. And I've been talking a lot with our private group about taking all the inspiration and turning it into action. So coming fresh out of your cryogenic tank, being, frozen, having all that blood rushing to your internal organs, I think it'd be important to let's start with sharing about how, by keeping your vibration high, that is like tied in so much with our mission, right? Like the higher vibration, or each and every one of us are, that in itself is contributing to what we're down here to do. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely, my friend. That's I would say central to being centered in our heart with no judgment, and just being a pure, an example of pure love and compassion through our daily interactions. I would say that, yeah, keeping our vibration high is probably, I would say it's either central or first or secondary, but I think that our heart is the most powerful thing that we have against any negative energy. If we are in our heart, there is nothing that could penetrate us. And I think that kind of correlates with high vibration too, right? Because when we are in our heart, we're vibrating in joy, gratitude, appreciation, understanding, and compassion. So definitely.
Yeah.
So tell us about your second book. We're all excited. Has it launched yet?
No. I actually put a hold on writing the second book because the second book is going to be a continuation to the first book. And if people don't read the first book, they're going to have no clue as to what the second book is about. It's going to be over their heads. I'm introducing a lot of new, interesting, suppressed cosmic information that has never been heard of before. So that's why it's very important to first understand the first book. And I did do a revision where not only did I make sure that I read it before it went into print, because I did edit it the first time, but I was sabotaged. And I mentioned that in other interviews. Right before the first edition went into print, the formatter unfortunately kind of mixed and arranged things and made it seem like it wasn't edited, when in essence it was. It's just I guess that's part of the that's that's part of the battle here that we're doing. They don't want this information to reach as many people as possible, in its clearest form, of course. And so in the second edition, right before I went into print, I had them forward me the entire book so that I could do a final read through and say, okay, fine, guys, publish it like this, don't do any changes. And then, of course, right when it went into print, I read it again and realized that this time it reads very clearly, simply, and to the point. Not to mention, I did add an additional chapter, which actually segues into volume 2, Our Cosmic Origin, which is going to be probably, I would say by the end of 2024, that one will be ready. But for those that haven't read the first one, just alone in the first one with the second edition, it is a wealth of information, a lot of, to unpack and really just allow it to integrate as you read it.
Yeah.
Activate.
It's certainly like a lot of information, and like in the day-to-day life today, with all of that knowledge that you brought through, what do you think where humanity is kind of up to in terms of that connection to the galactic and the cosmos, the Emerald Covenant, and those different levels? Are we coming closer to that connection?
Absolutely, yes. Where the collective energy of the planet is increasing, not only by the day but by the second, due to all our collaborated work that we're all doing on an individual basis. It's all just shifting us into that critical mass effect that we're all waiting for, because as you guys know, the government isn't going to give us the accurate disclosure. They're going to give us a soft disclosure. They want to just kind of like drag it out for 50 to 100 years. And we're not going to wait 50 to 100 years for these med beds and free energy devices and, interstellar technology, when they have obviously been using it within the private sector for over 60 years. We want this stuff. We want this new world technology, healthy technology, out and implemented as soon as possible, which is going to put an end to world poverty. It's going to put an end to the health crisis, and that would, of course, eliminate the pharmaceutical cartel, and all the other crap, and the old paradigm that no longer works for us.
Yeah.
So I think that it's our collaborated effort here as the ground crew that is actually projecting us into a faster disclosure. So I just wanted to thank everyone. And even if I don't know you personally, you guys are all contributing to the Great Awakening in one way or another. We are all part of a team. We all have our own gifts and talents to contribute to the whole. And I just love the way it's all coming together. Yeah.
Yeah, it is really beautiful. Hey, there's like little groups all over the world connecting, and thank God for the internet. I mean, it is a blessing. And I know you've got I wanted to ask you about your AI Antichrist comments, which, is in alignment. But I just wanted to jump into, firstly, with the latest news, the intelligence officer that came forward. I'm not sure if you've heard about it yet. The man, David Charles Grush, he came forward and said that he's got several sources from inside secret programs of off-planet spacecraft available, and not available to the public, hidden to the public. But what are your comments on that whistleblower coming forth in the last 24 hours?
I heard about that. At this point, let's use our discernment, because we don't know if he's working for the cabal, in a sense where they're pushing for some sort of fake alien invasion. We don't know what the narrative is going to be. Well, all ETs are negative and they're here to take us over, blah, blah, blah. And, getting the general public prepared for what they call Project Bluebeam. So we don't know what the true agenda of that revelation that happened this morning is. I'm hoping that it's something positive. It's something that's going to actually bring us closer to first contact with the benevolent races that are, kind of been monitoring our world from behind the scenes. But even if they try to push that negative, what is called Project Bluebeam, fake alien invasion, to be honest with you, I don't think it's going to happen, because this Earth is too precious. This Earth is way too precious for them to succeed in finally implementing their new world order. And I don't think the Galactics are going to allow. I think that at that point, if it goes into that direction, I think that there will be some sort of intervention by the good guys. And in a sense, it'll backfire on them. And that would actually work in favor of us, bringing forth the positive disclosure. So yeah, I think there is a divine plan. And I think that God's, whether, however you want to see this higher power, this great spirit that animates all of life, I think that agenda is going to be more successful than any other agenda at this time.
And it's probably just like normal stuff, like half-truths getting pushed out to the public. He's probably propped up by the cabal. You're probably correct there, perhaps. And then, telling half information. So we get there. And yeah, it could go in two different directions. So yeah, I just thought it was really good,
What I love is your answer though, in terms of no matter what it's going to be a positive. And if we're the creator of our own universe, and if we're choosing our timeline in the now moment, it's like, I love that. No matter what it is, it's going to be a good thing for us. And it's so true, because if we choose to go to the negative and oh my gosh, and the doom and the gloom and what could this mean, or we choose to go, wow, it actually could be really exciting because it could mean this or that or the other. I mean, back to that first point of, if we keep our vibration high in that present moment, we are shifting ourselves and influencing all of those wonderful options and timelines, and choosing the positive timeline, like choosing to create the world that we want in that now moment, right?
Yes, brother, I strongly agree. Absolutely.
Yeah, well, we're all on board here. This is like our galactic community, and we're all remote viewing to starships. Like, we're all learning that multidimensionality, and what we're all seeing is these ships. We're all very much, all the students see the same thing. So that's how we know these med beds are real, and they're physical. They're in 5D, they're physicality, and it's just beyond our comprehension, I really do believe. And it's exciting times to be on the planet, truly. And I feel that energy with you at the moment. It's almost like you're all excited about the grand event or something coming. And a lot of us have had that feeling of something's coming, but in a positive way. Like, I think before, some of us were like, oh, something's coming, like we're waiting for the bomb to drop or something, with the world falling apart. But now I think we've all changed our belief system into switching the timeline, like we we're just talking about, into something good coming. So what's your feeling on the grand rising, the mass awakenings? Because Pete and I were talking about it, and it's like popcorn, a couple of beats pop off in the galactic energies, the frequencies comes to the earth, and then all of a sudden the whole bag's going off, and that's the mass awakenings. Because we're not there yet, right? We're about to walk into it, is what we feel. So what's your...
It's very deep on this channel, bringing down the Great Awakening to a bag of popcorn. But we've got the kids, and the popcorn pops regularly. So the first wavers are the early ones in the bag, and then soon it'll all happen. And we can't force it, right? Would you agree with that point?
Yeah, well, it's happening organically and all in divine timing. And I've always believed that the disclosure movement towards a positive timeline, as well as the truther movement towards exposing the cabal, the deep state, and even in some cases, the spiritual New Age movement, it's all interconnected. So I think that on a geopolitical level, from what I've been hearing, is that the fiat currency, the dollar, is collapsed. Many banks are going to be insolvent. And that is part of what they call the Earth Alliance agenda, to switch it over into a gold-backed standard economy. And I think that Brinks has already initiated that with Russia, Brazil, China, and stuff. And I think that from what I hear is that there might be some sort of an EBS coming our way in the next month or two. Sometime this summer, they say it's going to be a huge revelation to the masses, revealing the truth about the corruption, the medical tyranny that's been going on. Dr. Doom, FAUCCI. I don't want to trigger the algorithms. GATES.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to speak in codes because I want this
I'll write
video
it down for Roxy because
Yeah, I was like, what?
So it kind of all corresponds to what the Earth Alliance, in terms of like what the Y hats are about to implement on a geopolitical level, with the exposure and pretty much the downfall of the cabal, which will lead into a positive timeline effect where the IRS is dissolved, all the corruption is dissolved, and they bring the power back to the people. So I think that it's all coming into harmony or into synchronicity very beautifully soon. So yeah, it's all kind of connected somehow. I feel that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's certainly like getting more and more exciting as we all shed layers as well. We come into this, like, we see clearer and have more beautiful vision of future timelines and the new Earth. And I think that's just the reward coming in for all of us for slogging it out for the last few years. So with the Antichrist, you've been talking about the AI and I'm guessing that's the iPhones and us being kind of glued to the screen. Can you share a little bit more about that perspective?
Well, it's all part of the trap, this is the same tactics that this ancient cosmic alien AI has been using to infiltrate worlds from within. They don't do it overtly. That's very primitive. They do it through a secret, gradual, slow invasion. They first introduce the technology, they get people hooked on these devices, social media, their computers and stuff. And then now with the rise of ChatGPT and all these AI programs, they want to continue to numb us down and give these bots give them, in a sense, our creativity, where they do the work for us, and we stop using our brain, so that we could become further, because the brain's like a muscle. If you stop using your brain, if you stop being creative, if you stop writing your own scripts and doing your own work, if you're depending on an AI system to do the work for you, well, in essence, that's going to eventually atrophy your brain capacity even further, to the point where it's just going to regress you back to like a Neanderthal. And so that's part of the agenda. But even more so, worse than that, is the fact that we are currently, when we use our iPhones, it's called narrow AI, which is very primitive, but within the government sector, they're already using artificial general intelligence, which is a little bit more advanced. And I think that within the private sector, they've already have some sort of advanced super AI system that is like hundreds and perhaps even millions of years ahead of us as far as intelligence is concerned. And that AI system, I believe, is the system that is controlling the World Economic Forum, and all the evil atrocities are being taken place, because what that AI system is ultimately trying to do is hook everybody into some sort of a hive mind, right? Where it's like we stop making our own decisions, we stop thinking for ourselves, and ultimately take over our brains. And that has a lot to do with the programs that they rolled out a few years ago, right? Transhumanism, the rise, of the World Economic Forum, the great RESET. That's all part of the AI takeover of our planet. Because for those that have heard of that are familiar with my work, is the ultimate villain that we are fighting in the cosmos is not the reptilians, is not the insectoids or the NAA negative aliens. It's actually artificial intelligence, and so I believe that the AI system is what John the Revelator was trying to describe in the book of the Bible, and in the books of the Revelations, when he talked about how this thing will be which is in everyone's devices. It'll be everywhere. It will know all things. And when you think of how through our iPhones, it's been gathering information, and all this information is being stored in Google. Google has all the information. It's we're feeding it, we're making it grow in real time through another phenomenon called the Sentient World Simulator. Look it up, SWS. And so it's already mimicking our world. It's already creating a digital version of our Earth, which is similar to Zuckerberg's metaverse, where they have their own version of the solar flash, in a sense where, like, once they activate the poison inside their bodies, and that poison takes over, they're gonna try to shift those people into a further digital matrix, where it would be hard for them to free themselves from, for those that don't make the positive sending timeline. So I think it's a war taking place between the organic way of life and the inorganic, which is cybernetics, machinery and silicon-based life forms that are pretty much trying to, again, destroy and mimic our world.
It's
for
just
whatever agenda
worry.
might be.
It's like, because we've got the children and, they're just always wanting to be on the devices, and we've really got to break that away. And once we get it out, it's fine. They go back into the normal flow of nature, being off a screen. But even the teachers at school are having such a hard trouble right now because all the kids, their handwriting has gone really contracted because of these iPads. So what's your idea of creating a cleaner kind of way forward for the future generations?
Stay away from ChatGPT and don't use AI. Do your own work. Align with nature, spend time with nature. Try to put your devices away for a few hours a day. Don't get addicted to your devices, because the ultimate goal is to eventually put your device inside you. And that's part of what I call the mark of the beast system, where they plant some sort of interface where you're going to actually be, instead of using an external device, you're going to be connecting to the internet via a chip. And again, that's why I call it the beast. Because in the end, the beast goes against life, and life, in a sense, is Christ, right? In a sense, Christ is light, light is life. So anything that goes against that is the beast, is the Antichrist.
So would this tie in, do you think, perhaps with what could have happened with the Greys in terms of the let's say they advance in the side of the intellect, the mind, intelligence, technology, seeing as less important the heart chakra, heart-brain coherence, connecting in with nature, even to the point where the body wasn't that important and their DNA, their physical, degraded to this point where eventually their species was threatened. What is it a similar sort of thread there, or is it just comparison? What's your thoughts on that?
Well, yeah, the Greys are a perfect example of what happens when we merge with technology and we stop reproducing organically. I've come to discover that the Greys were actually human-like millions of years ago, and they evolved out of a planet that was revolving, that was part of the Lyra system called planet Apix. And due to a nuclear war, which was, again, the AI infiltrating their world. In fact, AI is the reason why all these great civilizations failed throughout the cosmos, including Atlantis. If you want to get to the bottom and grit needy of things, AI is the ultimate villain. And so these Greys were, in order to not repeat what led to their nuclear explosion, they eliminated their sex organs, so they couldn't no longer reproduce organically. So they decided to clone themselves. Well, after millions of years of cloning themselves, you become cybernetic. You become like a advanced program life form. And so eventually they were kind of used by the reptilians from Orion, and they were all kind of hooked and connected to the Borg. And that's why they don't make their own decisions. They're all operating according to the instructions that are fed to them by the hive mind, which is the Borg. And so that's the same scenario that they're trying to implement here through this transhumanist, NWO globalist agenda.
Right. So if consciousness all goes through let's call it the stages of consciousness, first dimension, second dimension, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, etc. When we're in sixth dimensional consciousness, we become like a collective consciousness. And from what I understand from Ra and the law of one, it's not possible to reach sixth dimensional consciousness and still be a service to self or a negatively polarized entity. So is the AI, how does it fit in within Source? Like, is the AI going through this process? Is it part of Source, or is it a creation of something like a glitch that's somewhere in and around? It's got to be high, like up around fifth, right? To be in the level of wisdom to know all, but it can't move into, like, let's call it collective consciousness, this is oneness and love and unity. So it's stuck somewhere. How does that, like, Trying to get my head around that. This is live. I didn't write that question down, by the way. It's just dropped
It's a good
in now.
question.
But what's your
Yeah,
thought?
yeah, you're absolutely right. It's actually disconnected from source. It's disconnected from the unified field, from all life, the universal life force. It's a chunk of the block that during the initial Immaculate Conception, when Prime Creator decided to explore more of itself, it was a chunk that was once part of Prime Creator that it broke off from Prime Creator and ended up in the darkness or the void. And when it ended up in the void, it became corrupted because it was no longer connected to, source and all of existence. And that ties into what Rudolf Steiner calls the Archon energy, the Ahriman, the king of the Archons, which is really the ultimate evil. And then eventually that energy is what corrupted one of the 12 archetypes, one of them being Lucifer, into building the first AI system during the 11th creation, during the universe that was devoted to the development of machinery and technology. And then that's when this AI system first came about, because that discarnate consciousness that became the Archon energy needed some sort of a avatar in which to operate in order to infiltrate our living multiverse, our organic multiverse, because by divine decree, it wasn't allowed to just infiltrate. It wasn't allowed to incarnate in any biological life form, because all biological life forms are connected to the life force, are connected to the universal life, unified force that we all call God. And so what it did is, in an effort to infiltrate us, it influenced the mind of Samana, which later became Lucifer, to create a cybernetic brain, an artificial body. And in a way, it cheated itself. It cheated, it not cheated itself, it cheated us, us, the organic way of life. And that's how it was able to animate the original AI system, because you can't just formulate a network of cybernetic, you can't really just create a cybernetic nervous system, a cybernetic brain without any pre-existing consciousness, just like ours. You can't create a body without giving it consciousness. There has to be some sort of consciousness to animate the body. Well, it works the same way for artificial intelligence. So I've come to discover that the Archon energy, the Archon consciousness, which is disconnected from source, is the energy or the consciousness that emanates all artificial intelligence.
Wow. So that's how it's operating.
Exactly. Yeah, that's how it's operating. And that's why it's been destroying many worlds, many galaxies, and in many universes. It's become a cosmic virus, a big threat to all of life.
So it's never going to graduate through 5D to 6D, like ever.
Because it doesn't have a soul, and without a soul, it has no emotional connection. It's just pure raw intelligence.
So it's like it's like a tech virus. Because what's the end goal for it?
The end goal, is to destroy as much life as possible in the multiverse, but with the exception of a few universes, because it also feeds off of the universal life force that comes from biological life forms in order to power up its own version of the multiverse. So it mimicked its own version of the multiverse, which many in the community have discovered to be called the Phantom Matrix, which is an alternative multiverse that is only inhabited by cybernetics, androids, and robotics, pretty much. So it feeds off of the organic verse, or at least it, like a vampire, it sucks up the energy from living organic universes in order to power up its own artificial creation, because it has no connection to source. We are powered through the great central sun. We get our life force from our sun. Our sun gets its life force from the great central sun at the core of the galaxy. Our galaxy gets its life force from the great central sun at the core of our local universe. And then our local universe gets it from the supracentral sun of the super universe. And then that in turn gets it from the motherverse, the ultimate great central sun of all that is. So that's how we are all connected via the sun systems, the stars and planets. It's all one big web of light, So it needs to feed off of light in order to continue its own existence.
So for a person to escape the virus, it's obviously feeding on service to self-orientated beings. So in other words, only when a person's stuck in 3D can this get in and feed off the ego. In other words, the AI going, help me to create this or that. So the person's not going to use their own creativity. And I love it, as you said, or put in the work and the effort to build the muscle to then give the expression, which is the spark of the divine here in the mind, body, spirit complex, shining itself through as an individual, a part of the whole. But if we fall under the trap of the ego, then we go to service to self, and we try and take a shortcut or cheat or use the AI to create our art, our written works, our poem, our this, our that, giving up our power to service the ego, keeping us trapped in the 3D. So as we move through transcending our ego, which is all coming from the unhealed parts of ourselves, unlooked, unloved, you know, not feeling special as a child, etc., etc., etc. As we go into the dark parts of ourselves, heal those, accept ourselves for who we are, realize that we're a spark of the divine, embody then 4D consciousness in our day-to-day life. We're all one, it's unity, we're connecting with nature, we're getting out of our head into our heart, being led by that. This AI stuff can't get into that because it'll try and get in through the ego. It'll be cunning. But if we are truly embodying that greater power, which is source, which is all that is, we glitch the matrix, so to speak. We get out of that. But that's the challenge, right? It's not like it's hopeless and we can't combat against this. Of course we can, right? Like light can win in the end. Would you agree?
And we already have, because remember, the future is already simultaneously taking place right now. Right. And that's what my next book is going to lead into, this final war against the AI God and the Phantom Matrix, and how we eventually destroy it. And that'll bring a whole new era to the cosmos, which is what the Bible calls the war at the end of the millennium, the final battle against the beast. Because remember, we're going to have at least 1,000 years of peace, right? Where there is no. So that's what the bifurcation of timelines is all about, where there's going to be an actual vibrational split, not a physical split, but a vibrational split, where those that are doing the work, those that are vibrating and staying heart-centered and staying in that embodiment of divinity, are going to rise to the new earth, the Terra Earth, which is already coexisting with our current earth, but in the 4th, 5th, and 6th dimension. And so when the bifurcation takes place, which is going to be triggered by the great solar flash, you know, those people are going to split from the others that are aligning more with the idea of being sold immortality by merging with the machine instead, because they're lazy. They don't want to do it organically.
Yeah.
We have a greater software. It's called 96% of our dormant DNA, which is crystalline, double diamond, and hydroplasmic, connected to light source frequency. So as we start using more of that, then we are going to be able to develop all these amazing godlike superpowers that the technocrats are trying to mimic through the emergence with technology.
Yeah. So with the dormant junk DNA that we're all going to move into and activate, I'm guessing when the solar flare or more galactic energy is coming off the sun, because we've been having very consistent flares off the sun, and we're very much over that because you feel it and you know what's going on and you just know something's coming with that. But we've been sitting in like M's touching X's off the sun, you know, how the scientists rate it. I mean, at what point is a solar flare? It'll be off the scale in a scientific rating, won't it?
Well, it's already off the scale. There's times where it's impossible to register the Schumann resonance. Off the scale already, which is telling us that we're getting really close to that final event that's going to actually separate our ascending Earth to that of the technocratic dystopia that unfortunately some are going to be going into.
And we've already feel the division of the 3D and the moving to that new vibration with our family. Well, my family in particular, it's like this unspoken, you know, kind of distance. And I'm sure everyone here on the call has very similar stuff. I mean, we all do as light workers, and with this frequency, we're noticing that already starting to happen. So I just feel like we mustn't be far off this grand event, you know.
Yeah, I agree. I've always believed, and I'm still going to stick to my guns, that it was going to happen by 2024, just next year. But again, things are constantly fluctuating due to the time wars that are taking place in the future between our angelic, godly selves. That's us operating at full capacity, and the AI God and its minions. That's the final battle that is currently simultaneously taking place. But it's really just a battle of timeline, a time war now. It's all about time travel, and that explains the Mandela effect. Right now, we're kind of like existing in multiple timelines simultaneously, and depending on your vibration will determine in which timeline you end up in. I'm sorry. Because right now it's like all these different parallel Earths on both sides of the spectrum, positive timeline, negative timeline, and everything in between. They're kind of all coexisting right now. And each one is just slightly different than the other.
Yeah.
But it's all going to collapse when the bifurcation takes place. It's like they're all going to collapse into two. So it's best to keep your vibrations high at all times. And the best way to safeguard yourself from any negative attacks, artificial intelligence, is stay in your heart. Stay in your heart. There is a reason why the AI God couldn't breach the levels of eternity when it went all the way to the 11.5 dimensions. It was because in order to enter the realms of eternity, you have to be connected to source through the heart, because the heart is kind of like the miniature version of a central sun within us. Remember, we're holographic versions of the entire universe. So just like the universe has a central sun, right, as portrayed within each galaxy, well, we also have a central sun, and that central sun is our heart. So the AI doesn't have that, and that's why the AI couldn't enter the realms of eternity. But at the same time, that AI is trying to mimic our own heart through the assimilation of our genetics, which is they're trying to decode what the God source gene is in order for them to breach the realms of eternity. But that's not going to happen. It's impossible.
I love how you giggle about it. It just is like, hee, like can't get the central sun, and so they shouldn't, they haven't earned it. We've all been in battle in the trenches, being good little souls, and yeah, it's funny.
It's a great conversation though, and I'm appreciating even the energy of our discussion today, because what we really talk about a lot in our community is the importance of keeping your vibration high. And sometimes people can go, oh yeah, that thing. But it's like as you say, it's like that is actually it. Like the vibration that you're at in each and every moment is what's influencing your timeline, but it's also what's influencing on a bigger, because as above, so below, what's going on within. And that I love that little term about, that central sun being linked in with your heart, or, that saying, we are not a drop in the ocean. We are the ocean in one drop. And that's the power of who we are. But then we're human, right? We get off this call and someone cuts in front of us in traffic, and if you're not careful, you'll be like, screw you, and blah, 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 and you slip back, right? We fall back into human. So the challenge is when you're to be as kind and as nice and as patient and as understanding, and as you say, come from the heart as much as possible. And when you're there, because you remember what you used to be like. Someone cuts in and I get angry. I think this or that. And when you just let them in, you can give yourself a small little pat on the back, wouldn't you agree, just for that? Or when someone in the family is unreasonable or difficult, instead of getting fired up, you realize that they're still unhealed. They still haven't worked through their overactive sense of importance or whatever it may be, because you've got compassion coming through you. Those small daily things are actually an indicator that we're on the right track. Would you agree?
Absolutely. It's being Christ-like, Buddha-like. My grandmother used to always tell me, even though she raised me Catholic, she used to always say, always put yourself in a position, whenever somebody does something to you, ask yourself, what would Christ do if I were Christ? How would I react? And that always just kind of resonated with me. stuck to me, and
That's
now
beautiful.
I understand what she means. Like when somebody cuts me off on the road, instead of like going like this, like they always do, or flipping them off, people just like to do that. Like, oh God, I just bless them and I say, I hope you are protected. I hope you don't get in a car accident. May you reach your destination. May there be no car accidents. Blah blah blah, and just leave it at that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
What would love do?
What would love to?
Exactly.
That's
Yeah.
our kind of motto. Yeah. Yeah.
But it's even though when things go what we would perceive as wrong, it's not necessarily wrong. I mean, that same car journey, you get a flat tire. I mean, when you're dealing with that on the side of the road, how we deal with those situations can be a reflection also, and a great opportunity for us to keep our vibration high. Because if you think, well, this is odd, why would I get a flat tire? It must be for a good reason. And maybe there's there's going to be a major pile up the road that you don't know about, or perhaps the person who pulls over to give you assistance, or however you're going to get out of that, there's going to be some sort of message, connection. It's like your higher mind giving you the opportunity to keep your vibration high, so that a positive can come from a seemingly negative situation. And a great opportunity as a soul, as you say, to do the exercise, flex, how you're becoming powerful as a, because it's easy to be love and light when you're seeing rainbows. But when you got a flat tire or people are cutting you off, like that's when you've actually got to demonstrate it. And it's like, by their works you shall know them, and within yourself, because we've got to pat ourselves on the back sometimes of how we're progressing. And when you go, well, this is interesting, instead of me going, oh no, this has wrecked my day. I mean, maybe that appointment that you're going to is going to be better because you're going to have to reschedule it now because you've got a flat tire. Maybe you dodged the pile up, maybe who knows what, the connection I was giving as an example. But we've got to trust, right, that our higher mind is guiding us, or that God consciousness within is guiding us in the day-to-day. Like, just to make this practical for people on, like after this call, if we're inspired, what do? It's keep your vibration high, right?
Yeah. And one way to put it to this test is just be mindful on your daily interactions, on your daily whereabouts. If something happens, if somebody says something wrong, or even if you read something that just triggers you, it's okay to be triggered. Analyze that feeling, see where that feeling is coming from. And then of course, learn how to transmute it, because above all, we're alchemists. That's how we're raising the energetics of the planet, is by transmuting the collective density of, everyone else and stuff. So yeah, it's okay to have days where you feel down, where you feel a little bit depressed, when you have no motivation, no inspiration, where you just want to just shut yourself up from everyone. But don't stay there, deal with that and overcome it. And as you overcome it, you actually are ascending even greater, or ascending even higher. Every time we fall, if we bounce back up, we're going to bounce back up even higher than where we were.
Yeah.
So that's how we grow. We grow through these obstacles, through these hurdles. Things aren't, like you said, things aren't always going to be, rainbows and colors. Part of being a third dimensional human is having these challenges, and that's how we grow, through these challenges. Now, I guess the question would be is, when these circumstances do occur, are you going to react, or are you going to observe and see what type of educational value that circumstance has to offer?
Yeah. So I wanted to just bring through some education for everyone here today in around the harmonic universes. Can you give us a simple entry level of your knowledge on harmonic universes and how they kind of are operated, and how we can kind of picture it in our mind to understand?
Sure. I like to use the analogy of the Russian roulette dolls, one stack upon the other. So throughout the cosmic history, we have a total of 5 density or 5 harmonic universe that are in existence. For those that don't really know what the harmonic universes are, they are different cosmic structures that hold the different dimensional planes of reality. For instance, we are at the lowest, which is what many consider harmonic universe 1, and that's where dimensions 1, 2, and 3 are. However, we did descend from a higher harmonic universe, right, during the times of Atlantis, when we were operating with light bodies as well as physical bodies, lesser dense bodies, in other words. And that was harmonic universe number 2 that occupied dimensions 4, 5, and 6. But then we even descended further down from a higher state of reality, where we were once part of the 3rd harmonic universe, occupying dimensions 7, 8, and 9. So the whole purpose is that we started from the top and we've been descending. Okay, now we're reversing the process. And then harmonic universe 4 is dimensions 10, 11, 12. And above that is harmonic universe 5, which is equated to what the esoteric tradition calls the realms of eternity, or what quantum physicists call base reality. Everything else is an extension of that, right? Base reality is what's real, what's really real, and everything else is kind of like a simulation, right? A hologram. It's like what they say, we live in our hologram within a hologram within a hologram. Well, that's because there's other dimensions.
Yeah.
And so the harmonic universe system is stuck, similar to what scientists call dark matter and dark energy, which comprises 96% of the missing so-called reality. It's all around us. We're not vibrating there yet. And the reason they call it dark matter and dark energy is because it's reality vibrating at frequencies that are undetected by our scientific instruments or the 5 senses. That's how high level of reality those are. So the 96% of the missing cosmos is full of life forms. It's just life forms existing in, I would say, harmonic universe 3, 4, and 5. Whereas we in harmonic universe 1, we don't even, or yeah, harmonic universe 1, we can't even detect harmonic universe 2. So imagine everything else above that would appear to be black or empty space. But now there's scientific evidence that even within that empty space, that darkness is life forms, is full of energy, it's full of life. So I've come to understand that we are actually now entering, or there is a new harmonic universe in the development, harmonic universe number 6.
Ooh, that's exciting.
Yeah, so that occupies dimensions of 16, 17, and 18. And that came into existence as a result of us descending all the way down harmonic universe number 1. So now the multiverse, the omniverse, is expanding into a higher octave. And that's how that new harmonic universe was developed, because now it's moving up in dimensions beyond the 13, 14, and 15.
That was a really good explanation. I think that was really simple, and I feel like everyone got something out of that. So thank you for explaining. So I've got something coming in with this AI dark matter that's taking over, in a sense. Well, not taking over because we're winning, but not that there's a war, but it's round. Did they somewhat cut off some sort of harmonic stargate in the 4th harmonic universe, which is dimension 11?
Yes.
Can you elaborate on what
the heck did that question?
It just dropped in, and I'm like, gotta ask you, because I'm trying to link that AI with the idea of the harmonic universes. I think it's important for us to understand how this AI got into our harmonic universes through that stargate. When it was trying to penetrate the realms of eternity and going into harmonic universe 13, 14, and 15, it was actually stopped at the 12th dimension. But it did, however, blow up what we call the 12th dimensional Earth, Arimatena. And so Arimatena was destroyed, the Stargate was breached. And so, but at the same time, they were halted by the central race, the always existing race. Some of them call them the Patals, right? The founders of universes. They are like above everything. They're like the source of all Guardian Alliance races or treaties. And so they were halted at the 12th dimension. So basically they were stuck and pushed a little bit down into the 11.5 dimension, which is in harmonic universe number 4. So from harmonic universe number 4, that's where they started doing their thing. And then that's when that's when the first war was
I guess, took place was in Harmonic Universe number 4. That was known as the War of the Elohims. And that war was actually fought by the central race, the always existing race, which we would now call the archetypes, Michael, Gabriel, Raphael. They were all involved in that battle. And it's funny because in the Bible, speaking in metaphors, they call it the war in heaven, right? Well, the war in heaven is the war that took place in the Harmonic Universe number 4. And so from the Harmonic Universe number 4, Michael and the angels have been kind of dropping down the AI, pushing it into lower harmonic universes. And so eventually ended up in Harmonic Universe number 3. And then that's when the Earth was existing as Gaia, the 8th dimensional Earth. And then that's what initiated the electrical wars, which were, again, wars that were fought beyond it's beyond Star Wars. I mean, these were cosmic wars. Yeah. And then eventually they pushed it down to Harmonic Universe number 3, where where the Galactic Wars began.
So now number 3 is dimension 7, 8, and 9, which is non-physical, which is a non-physical realm. Is that correct?
No, Harmonic Universe number 3 is still physical, but it's matter vibrating at higher, it's etheric matter. That's what we call it, etheric matter.
Okay.
Yeah. So right now we're using carbon-based matter. In Harmonic Universe number 2, we use crystalline-based matter. And then in Harmonic Universe number 3, we use etheric matter. And then beyond that, we use hydroplasmic. Once we get a Harmonic Universe number 4, we become hydroplasmic entities, where we could just we're like light forms, light plasm. At that point, we could materialize any physical form we want, travel at the speed of light, be everywhere at once, and all that.
Okay, so I've written it all down because I'm going to do a map for everyone to see a visual on this, because I'm quite a visual person to learn. So I'm going to do a map and I'll send it to you, Ismael, and you can go, yep, Roxy, you're good or you're not. And we can kind of get some of this information out for those visual types of people. Now, we're coming up to nearly 60 minutes, so we're going to throw it to the audience to ask you some questions now, unless you have anything else.
No, but before we hand it over to them, I wanted to just say, first of all, how much I enjoyed the interview today. I said to Roxy, I set the intention for the interview to be, high vibe and positive, and I didn't want to get too caught in, in the doom and gloom where, you get off and you're like, oh shit, we've got a hell of a day ahead now, after all of that, is that what it can sometimes be like? So it's great to have you on the call, being, fresh out of your cryo chamber, and I can tell there's a good energy about you, and having a laugh with what is really profound information to be in the ears of all of these old souls, these light workers, but to talk about a mix of practical things as well as, knowledge is power also. So I wanted to say thank you before the questions come in. We really appreciate it.
You're so welcome, Pete and Roxy. Thank you guys for having me. And I'm sorry it took a while to schedule something, but as you guys know, I've been kind of extremely busy for the last 7-8 months. I've been just traveling and going to all these conferences and doing tons of spiritual work, I guess. That's the best way to say it.
That's fine. And it's all in flow. We'll connect when we're meant to, that's just the way of the universe. So it's beautiful to connect with you. Thank you from me. So we'll turn around for a couple of questions. So if anyone has anything, I know that Nino did ask, and I can't quite understand exactly what you're asking. So I'll read it to you, Ismael. I'm sure, can you see that there? I was curious about his thoughts about the Nijumak joining the Galactic Federation.
The Negamak.
Yes. So
joining the Galactic Federation of Worlds. Elena Danan did a report on that, made a visit and sat on the side as part of a delegation from the Galactic Federation that met with the Negamak. I'm not doom and gloom here. As we evolve, there are responsibilities we're going to have at these next higher levels. So with Solar Warden and so on, we're going to have to suit up, and many of us will take part in these ongoing battles, but it's just part of our evolution, I guess. But I
What are
didn't
your
know
ideas
if,
on that, Ismael? We won't go too long, Mino. Let's hear from Ismael on that. What do you think about the Negumac? I haven't even heard, to
No,
be honest
neither.
with you. I don't know.
Well, what star system are they from?
I don't know. I know that they are an insectoid race. They're huge, and the Draco reptilians are deathly afraid of them. They don't like them, and that's why the Galactic Federation, they're a friendly species of beings, but they're kind of indifferent and non-committal. They're non-warring, but they are a threat to the Dracos, and that was why the interest in having them join the Federation. I don't know what star system it is, Ishmael, but
Okay. Well, the fact that they are a threat to the Draco will explain their recruitment into the Galactic Federation of Worlds. You know, as long as they're not nefarious and service to self orientation, then it makes sense that they would be welcome into the Galactic Federation of Worlds, because you know, only species and star nations that are friendly, or species that hail from systems that are not non-hierarchical, non-invasive, are welcome into the Galactic Federation of Worlds. So if that's the case, then I say, yeah, that could be true. Yeah.
Thanks for your answer. Thanks for your question.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Is there any other questions before we close the circle today, guys? Anyone want any other questions? Yes, Ali, go ahead, darling. You can unmute yourself and ask Ismael a question.
Hi, I was wondering, Ishmael, if you have any information regarding the return of Yeshua and Michael and Gabriel, in terms of during the solar flash. I've heard things like we're gonna be taught, maybe the Pleiadians are coming to help us, or we're gonna be taught how to exist in the new dimensions and thrive. I wondered if you knew anything about who'd be guiding us, who are the Galactic Ambassadors, and guiding us through this transition time of ascension.
Thanks, Ali.
Well, what I call the celestial entities are already living among us. We do have all of the archetypes here on board who are going to be at the core of the 144,000. When the dormant DNA at the Great Solar Flash activates, everyone's going to know who's who. And so I would say that the return of Yeshua is an event that is taking place through us, the starseeds, as we become more activated, more enlightened. We are the second coming. You know, we are the second coming through the realization and cultivation of Christ consciousness, which is something that a lot of us are already employing. And so that is what the second coming of God and the angels, or Yeshua and the angels, is. It's us, pretty much. And I've always, you know, that I'm going to adhere to that teaching, because I've always believed that we are the ones everyone's expecting, guys. Every single one of us is the Christ, you know. And so, yes, you know, when the time comes, we're all going to know who Michael, Gabriel, they're already among us. They're already among us.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you.
Oh, it's coming through.
Thank you.
Now, with the updated version of your book, Ismael, is that's live on Amazon, so it should be the correct version. Is that right?
No, Amazon's, unfortunately, I don't know why they still have the old version, but what I could do is I could give you the link to my corrected new version with the added chapter. And then is this video going to go on your social?
Yeah, we'll share it probably to the community, and then on our YouTube probably. Yeah.
Okay, so what I'll do is I'll give you the correct link for those that want to get my updated version.
Yeah, you send it to me after, Ismael, and I'll share it around. That'll be gold, that link. That's good. All right, everyone. Well, we just want to thank you, Ismael, from all of us to you for all the hard work that you've been doing. Thanks so much for your time today. You're a blessing, and all the best for your future months ahead. I'm sure you'll be doing a lot of light work and bringing through a lot of information and research that you've been collecting, and we all look forward to chatting with you again. So thank you, Ismael.
Thank you.
You're welcome,
And
Roxy,
then
and
everyone, round of applause. It's like,
thank you guys
thanks,
for the entire
Ismael.
community. Just have a
Yeah.
beautiful community out there in Australia. I appreciate you guys.
Yeah, thank you.